Would the Boston Celtics dare trade Jayson Tatum to make room for Cooper Flagg? At first glance, it sounds absurd, a headline-grabbing provocation. But what if it isn't? What if, behind the boldness of that question, lies an uncomfortable truth that fans simply refuse to face? In a landscape where the NBA's new collective bargaining agreement punishes success with nearly suffocating financial restrictions, maybe boldness is exactly what the Celtics need, with billionaire Bill Chisolm taking control of the franchise and the dreaded second apron looming like a financial guillotine. A question that once sounded like heresy is starting to gain a tinge of plausibility. Could the only path to long-term competitiveness be letting go of the team's greatest symbol? Jayson Tatum is only 27, but his resume reads like a seasoned legend. NBA Finals MVP, multiple All-Star appearances, and the biggest contract in league history, $314 million. But that contract, which reflects his greatness, might also become a burden. By the 2029-30 season, Tatum will cost the franchise a staggering $71.4 million. A nearly unmanageable figure in an era where financial flexibility is razor thin. Here's what no one wants to say out loud. What if the cost of continuity is collapse? Under the new CBA, keeping a dynasty together is borderline suicidal. The second apron doesn't just impose fines. It strips a team of all flexibility, from trades to salary exceptions. The league's message is clear. If you want to spend big, you'll play alone. Former owner Wyc Grousbeck didn't sugarcoat it. No one is surviving more than 2 years in the second apron. Translation: either you make painful cuts, or you watch your empire crumble under the weight of its own success. The Celtics are on pace to surpass $500 million in total expenses, a figure that's simply unsustainable without a drastic shift. And that's where Cooper Flagg enters the picture. The college phenom is considered by many to be the most promising American talent since LeBron James. He combines off-the-charts basketball IQ, elite athleticism, and a rare winning mentality for someone his age. To many scouts, he's a sure thing, not a gamble. And players like that don't come around every year. So here's the simple, yet brutal, provocation. If Tatum is worth so much, why not trade him at his peak, while you can still get a haul of draft picks and young assets in return? Wouldn't it be smarter to secure the next face of the franchise before the cap explodes and the team gets locked into an aging, rigid core? Sometimes the boldest move is the one made before anyone else sees the storm coming. But the burning question remains: can Flagg really be the guy? Jeremy Woo of ESPN doesn't mince words. Flagg has a more refined court vision than Tatum did at the same age, and a more selfless approach. That statement opens up an uncomfortable debate. Are we possibly looking at a more team-oriented, more cerebral version of an already elite talent like Jayson Tatum? Yes, Flagg has the size, the instincts, defensive intensity, and a technical arsenal that commands respect. He reads plays ahead of time, protects the rim, communicates like a seasoned pro, and passes the ball with purpose. But even with all the hype, which, let's be honest, is straight out of a movie, there's one truth even his biggest fans can't deny. Tatum entered the NBA more polished offensively. He was already a natural scorer, with elite footwork. And isolation reads that Flagg is still learning to develop, but the real allure of Flagg goes beyond the hardwood. Its economic impact. With the new CBA punishing overspending and restricting moves for teams living above the second apron, having a player of Flagg's caliber on a rookie deal is basically winning the lottery. For 4 years, he'd be an elite piece at a fraction of Tatum's current salary. That gives Boston something the current roster can't offer: flexibility, the ability to build a team around an ascending star without being handcuffed by bloated contracts. It's a reset button with the potential to become, in time, just as powerful as the foundation of the current dynasty. Swapping certainty for potential is always a gamble, and this is where the debate gets thorny. As much as Flagg promises the world, he hasn't yet endured the grind of an NBA season. He hasn't been stuffed at the rim by Giannis. He hasn't tried to guard Luka Doncic. He hasn't faced the emotional chaos of a playoff series. Tatum has done all that and won. He's an NBA Finals MVP. He's the face of a culture built brick by brick. Trading Tatum for a shot at Flagg is like selling a diamond ring to buy stock in a startup. It might double in value or vanish without a trace. Are we romanticizing too much the idea of a natural successor? Is the similarity in style and background really enough to justify such a seismic shift? This isn't just about skill, it's about charisma, leadership, resilience. Tatum has been doubted, challenged, even mocked, and still chose to evolve. He reshaped his game until he became a champion. Flagg still has to prove he's not just a dazzling prospect, but someone who can carry the weight of an entire franchise. Maybe this obsession with finding the next Tatum is actually a reflection of our collective anxiety, a fear of falling off the mountaintop without paying the price to stay there. But basketball, like life, charges a toll for every shortcut. Betting on Flagg is bold, but it might cost more than anyone's ready to admit. The controversy no one wants to face. Jayson Tatum might be too valuable to keep. Yes, you read that right. It sounds contradictory, even offensive to some fans. How can the man who led the Boston Celtics to their long-awaited 18th championship be considered expendable? But that's exactly where the dilemma lies. The NBA of 2025 is no longer the league it was 5 years ago. The game has evolved, and so have the rules, financial constraints, and the way franchises must operate. Today, having a superstar isn't enough. You have to know how to survive success. This isn't a knock on Tatum's greatness. It's a criticism of the system. The NBA has created an environment where holding onto a star at his financial peak often means sacrificing depth, flexibility, and ultimately your chance to remain a true contender. Brad Stevens knows it. Bill Chisolm, the new owner, knows it too. Even former owner Wyc Grousbeck once warned, no one survives more than 2 years in the second apron. And so comes the uncomfortable question. Will the Celtics have the guts to act before chaos hits? Now we enter even trickier territory, the intangible. This isn't about stats, accolades, or trophies. It's about soul, hunger, that primal urge to dominate an era. Despite the 2024 title and a Finals MVP trophy, there are whispers, both inside the league and among fans, asking, is Tatum more Scottie Pippen than Michael Jordan? What does that mean? It means he might be the most technically sound, well-rounded, and reliable player on the floor, but not necessarily the most feared. Tatum is graceful, calculated, efficient, but rarely ruthless. He doesn't have that killer instinct that defined the legends. Kobe, Jordan, LeBron. At his peak, he leads through consistency, not through emotional force. And as uncomfortable as it is, that doubt can't be swept under the rug anymore. By keeping Tatum at the center of the machine, the Celtics are forced to trim at the edges. Less depth, fewer options, greater risk. As crazy as it sounds, trading Tatum could create the flexibility to reshape the entire roster. They could land multiple draft picks, rising talents, and cap-friendly deals, staying competitive for years to come. It wouldn't be a rebuild. It would be a strategic reload. Let's be honest, recent success doesn't guarantee anything. The Golden State Warriors, after years of dominance, are now buried in contracts that no longer make sense. The Miami Heat, all in on Jimmy Butler, are stuck between past glory and current stagnation. Boston could follow that same path, or it could have the courage to pivot before it's forced to. Maybe keeping Tatum is the biggest risk of all. Not because he lacks talent, but because we're too attached, too afraid to break away from a cycle that may have already peaked. The Celtics must decide whether to live off the fading shine of 2024 or build something even greater with a younger, leaner, more adaptable team ready for the next NBA era.